Good morning, everybody. You're watching Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. It is 9 o'clock. I'm Jane Monreal. We want to start with some great news because if you tune in to WCNC Charlotte, apparently it's the place to be. According to Nerve Magazine, readers voting WCNC Charlotte as the best TV news station. Horns, please. There we go. Exactly. Not only that, but we also have the best TV sportscaster voted by readers. The Carbones, Nick Carboni, who is enjoying his first few weeks as a new father.
Best sports dad, too. Heck yeah.
Yes, Nicholas. Great job. And then the doubling
up.
That's what we do. Double trouble, minus the trouble. He's the double best.
He's the double best.
Local celebrity and TV personality, our chief meteorologist, Brad Panovich.
Yeah.
Nerve readers, you know where it's at. So we thank you for tuning in, checking things out, not only on air on WCNC Charlotte, but here on WCNC Plus. Do they have a best live stream yet?
No, I looked at the list. No.
It's coming, I think,
Hey.
eventually.
But it's got to be us. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's got to be
It
us.
gotta be. And by the way, you don't know Brad like I do. He's double trouble for sure. I'm joking.
I try to stay away from it.
No. Congratulations to all of them and WCNC. That is awesome.
Very cool. So, yeah,
We did it.
We're doing it. We did it for your news, weather, traffic.
We got
Chris?
it all, you know? And I also, you know what, because we're all celebrating good times, come on. Let's bring up our stat of the day. This is something that's kind of crazy to think about it. There was actually a line from a Sheryl Crow and Kid Rock song, I ain't seen the sunshine in blank 3 days.
Picture.
And it really has been. I put your picture away. Check it out. Sunday afternoon,
do that karaoke
4:30 was the last time I haven't seen an overcast sky in Charlotte. Now, this comes with a grain of salt because there's some areas that maybe you saw breaking it. I didn't see sunshine for 3 days. But how I look at this is you go through the hour-by-hour data through Charlotte Douglas International Airport, and when it says OVC, overcast, that means 100% cloud cover across the area. There was only 3 times of this 3-day period that there was a break in that, but you still had clouds across multiple levels that there was no sunshine. So you might have seen a brighter overcast, but no actual blue sky. Last time we saw that was 4:30 on Sunday afternoon. It was sunny in the afternoon. It became overcast. It came back a little bit before it was completely cloudy for over 3 days. So finally, the sunshine is coming out. So not the greatest stat I've ever shared with you, but check it out. It's pretty cloudy right now over in Louisville. I was seeing a little bit of sunshine. I saw a little bit of pink to the sky, even though it still was a cloudy sky. When you start to see the pinks, that shows that sunshine is actually getting to the surface. And it's been so cold recently. And our Monroe camera is showing still an overcast sky, but it's a little bit brighter than it otherwise has been, so things heading in a good direction. Satellite and radar, not really too much to mention. There's a lot of rain further off towards the north. What we are seeing is a second coming. So these second batches of showers around this low, I think that we're going to be a little bit too dry for it, but I am still calling for a slight chance for a sprinkle a little bit later on. I think what's going to happen is we're going to clear out the clouds a little bit. It's not going to be perfectly sunny, just letting you know. You're just actually going to see some sunshine today, and then it could cloud things back up before things eventually are going to clear out. So I think for the first part of the day, we still have a very high on the Napa meter.
Napa meter.
Yeah.
It's a good nap.
It depends. If you have blackout curtains, yeah, anything matters.
Yeah.
For me, I've like kind of the poor man's blackout curtains, more like gray out curtains. So they kind of work, but yeah, no, it's been perfect napping weather recently. But we're actually going to be more towards the active side a little bit later on, and certainly for Halloween, the hustle and bustle begins trying to get all that candy. Real quick, because this graphic actually snuck in here. Melissa's update, officially clear of the Bahamas. It will have a chance of affecting Bermuda briefly over the next 24 to 36 hours, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal for them. Bermuda, as I've actually learned this year, has one of the biggest codes and strictest codes for building, that everything really needs to be built up to withstand up to major hurricane strength. Now, any major hurricane, of course, is going to be detrimental for anything. But a tropical storm force wind that is likely here. They're going to be just fine. Maybe just some slight cleanup, so just letting you know. And fun little Bermuda fact. Well, our wind gusts today are still going to be on the breezy side. We're expecting a fresh breeze. This is really where small trees and leaves will be swaying, and those gusts will be on and off throughout the day. But today, a high of the lower 60s is still well below the normal where we should be. But what's really interesting is 53, 52, and 55. So, putting this in perspective, somebody was actually talking to me yesterday, came up to me and said, "Man, Chris, it feels like winter." You're not wrong, good ma'am, good sir, because 2 people actually said this to me yesterday. 52 degrees is actually our average high during the dead of winter, the coldest part of winter here. Now, of course, that's an average, so it's all over the place. And 52 often comes with sunshine. So when it's like these conditions during winter, likely we're getting snow or the 30s or the 40s. But the last time that we had 3 days in the 50s for highs was February 22nd. So it really shows that this has been more winter-like than fall-like. So, yeah, let's move on from all of this. As for tomorrow, for your trick-or-treating forecast for your Friday, Halloween, turn over those pumpkins. Let's pause real quick. Anyone carve any pumpkins?
Not me.
I did not this year.
I did yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd
You have a
carve?
picture?
No, I meant to take a picture. So I carved a big circle. That was it. No, I did a circle with bats in it, but
wow.
I did it to the point where it was shaved,
Yep.
so it just shines through. Never doing that again.
Yeah. That's talent.
How many hours?
I don't know. But I'm just letting you know, JT and Kim were done more than an hour before I was done.
You were determined.
No nap
I- well,
for
well,
you.
You said, I'm going to get artsy fartsy with it, and you did.
Once you do it, and then I was just stuck there, and then I get out there, and I still have to thin it out a little bit more. But anyways, it's the 30th. If you haven't carved pumpkins, just do the classic triangles and smile. I did see one where you can cut out the triangles and put it on top of the pumpkin, and it makes a cat. So that's an easy one, too. But anyways, as you have your pumpkins out for trick-or-treaters for tomorrow.
I saw somebody wore a pumpkin as a head at the Renaissance Fair. They just put an actual real pumpkin, they put it on top of their head. I was like, that's commitment.
That is dedication. Wow.
And then
Where
I
it
saw
came
him
from.
drink a beer through a straw, they figured it out. I said, and he brought a
Okay.
big old bendy straw, preparation for the Renaissance Fair.
I hope that he at least had a
great.
pumpkin ale or something like that, because you gotta, if you're doing pumpkin head, you gotta go all pumpkin. At least it doesn't. If it's fresh, it doesn't smell bad.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
It looked fresh,
That was good.
Okay.
Okay.
but
yeah.
it was a massive pumpkin.
Yeah. Last time I'll bring up my pumpkin patches, just letting you know, knowing what rotting pumpkins smell like.
Yeah, no,
It's
yeah.
it's pretty
bad.
bad. But a fresh pumpkin, all right.
Great.
Okay, well that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have more questions, but we don't have the answers. We have the lower 50s by the back end of trick or treating. So I know a lot of you probably go trick or treating from 6 to 8. I know some of it starts as early as 5. For me personally, I love going to McAdenville. It starts a little bit earlier, and also it's like you are trick-or-treating in a movie because it's so active and all the neighbors are super awesome. But another thing that's happening, it's not a holiday, but fall back.
Oh, yeah.
Fall back. So 6:31 is our sunset time today. On Sunday, our sunset time is 5:27.
Ew.
I showed you this last
Sorry,
week,
that's
earlier this week.
That's total.
VJ give 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, it's not good. It's something that we know every year, and I can tell you now, but it doesn't matter. Even for me, when the sun sets or starts getting dark at 5 o'clock, it throws you off. You're like, what is this?
Right.
Yeah.
What is these shenanigans?
Yeah.
So
It throws everything off.
it does.
Yeah, and then you're driving from work and you haven't seen the sun all day, and you come out of an office and then it's dark.
And then
That's
it's
true.
dark.
You go in when it's dark, you leave when it's dark.
Blech.
That's going to kind of be my case.
Yeah, and the only advantage for me is I get to show sunrises at the end of our newscast on
That's true.
WCNC, because usually it's just check out this darkness.
Right.
I can see some clouds here and there. But this will continue to trend down. It's the first couple of weeks of December that we hit our earliest sunset time around 5:10, be advised. High temperatures today, as I mentioned, 61. Just letting you know it's going to be on and off, mixes of clouds and sunshine. We just have to be really patient getting rid of this cloud cover. As far as our lows are concerned, 43 degrees. So 43 degrees is what we're dropping down to tomorrow morning. It's 38 the morning after that. That, by the way, will be one of the coolest that we have had so far this season. So the coolest we were was October 24th, dropped down to 42. And as you can see, most of these have really happened in the last week and a half. 42, 43, 44, 44, 45. So that means the next couple of mornings will be again in this top 10, but we have not reached the 30s yet for Charlotte. We've done it in Salisbury, Statesville, I think even Albemarle, you might have done this as well, but then certainly the mountains have dropped down to freezing already, so this is actually a better chance for frost pretty much across the area. But one more recap, because we want to get our dance on. Here it is. Dance with Frankenstein.
yes.
There it is. There it is.
You're doing the Running Man.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Good job.
Oh, nice. Chris.
Good moves.
It's definitely
Is this you on
got it
screen?
yeah. No, this is
This
me.
mocap?
These-
Did you
yeah.
get motion capture for this?
These are my alternative
Oh, wow.
egos.
These are your alter
yeah.
egos.
Yeah, as you can see, these
Move
these,
over, Sasha Fierce.
If you ever see me at a wedding, these are my 2 dance moves.
I like it.
Hopefully you don't see me out and about.
It's
But
the
yeah,
Monster Mash.
It's definitely do the mash. It's definitely a forecast worth celebrating, worth dancing about. Looking at our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, wrapping this all up. No dancing here. Lower to the mid 60s for the most part, but one day stands up from all the rest. I will already officially announce here for the first time that next Wednesday is our pick of the week.
Next Wednesday. All right. Got that on the calendar.
Next
Looks
week's.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Does look nice.
All right. Like the dance.
Thank you very much.
Good moves. You move like Jagger.
Something like that. Maybe the monster version of Jagger.
All right. Chris Mulcahy. Oh, I just totally got excited. I ripped the button off the
Oh,
okay.
Stream Deck.
I
Okay.
got you.
That's all right.
all
That
good.
it
There we go.
happens. I ripped a button earlier.
On your shirt.
Yeah, no, I have done that to my suit jacket. Nothing's more humbling than bursting as a suit button saying, okay, shouldn't have had that cheesesteak last night.
Whoops. Although it was worth it, I'm sure.
Oh, it's 100%.
Yeah.
Always. I'm going to have one
Always
today.
good to have that great comfort food, too, in fall.
We had chili for the first time this week.
Chili.
Made chili. And so my wife is from Ohio. And if you ever dated or met someone from Ohio, they love 2 things. It's either a Gold Star or Skyline chili.
The
But
spaghetti, isn't it?
yeah, so they put, it's called a 3-way or a 4-way. So it's cheese, chili, and spaghetti. That was last night.
never had it.
Yeah, then we had coney dogs on Tuesday, and then we had chili on Monday. Today is the day we're not eating chili because we can't
it's
do
like
it.
turkey. Ways to invent
You have to.
chili.
Yeah.
Which I know that we're not there yet, but I have to ask you, disc cranberry sauce or the one that's actually homemade?
Disc.
100%.
Are you
yes.
a disc person?
I'm a
Canned.
disc all the way.
I've now
And
that
I
I'm
only use a
older, I've
little
started
bit.
to appreciate cranberry
The
sauce now
fresh.
more. Yeah.
I
At this point,
It's
it
yeah.
all comes out the same.
It's an
I've-
it's kind of an afterthought. It's not
Oh,
a
no.
priority for me.
I
but-
know. I already have my can of disc. It was
Oh,
on
okay.
sale.
Oh,
Yep.
good. Can
for you.
Your disc.
Yeah, not even cranberry, just can of disc, and it's great for sandwiches. All right. Anyways, Halloween's tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of
Halloween's
myself.
tomorrow.
Very exciting.
I don't want to be like the big box stores jumping holidays.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
We're already there.
One holiday at a time. Chris Mulcahy will be back tomorrow. We'll talk about Halloween. Looking forward to that. With this change of the time change, I should say, accidents. We see a lot of accidents,
Yes, we do.
too, at this time. And we are getting prepared to talk to a guest about safe driving, what you can do. That's going to be sometime after the break, which we're going to take right now here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Time right now is 9:16. As open enrollment has begun or will begin for a lot of folks, something to consider is putting money into a health savings account. And we have more on why this is a good idea.
So first, open enrollment. Choosing your healthcare plan is one of the most important decisions you'll make all year. So it's not just about cost, it's about making sure that this fits for you and your future needs. So you want to start with your healthcare needs. What happened last year? What's changed? What's ahead? And then you'll begin to compare things like costs, what coverage is available to you, whether your preferred providers are in network or out of network, and then you'll get into the alphabet soup of things like HMO, PPO, high deductible healthcare plan. And if it fits for you and your family, I would consider a high deductible healthcare plan because it qualifies you to pair it with a health savings account, which is a great way to supercharge your health for the year. They let you save, spend, and invest tax-free, both for today and tomorrow. Think of it kind of like a healthcare 401k, except for you can use that money now. I want you to remember this in particular, tax-free times 3. So I'll break that down for you. It lets you save that money tax-free, meaning you get a tax break when you put the money in. It lets you spend that money tax-free as long as it's for a qualified medical expense. And if you're able to leave it alone or you have some money left over and you invest it, if that money grows, that growth is also tax-free. And that's important because it's one of the only types of investment accounts that checks all 3 of those boxes. Again, as long as you have a high deductible health plan. And some employers are even adding money for you. It helps it grow even faster. So first, they're flexible. Unlike an FSA, these funds never expire. They're yours forever, even if you change jobs. And they're pretty flexible, meaning you can use it for more than you think. You can use it for over-the-counter cold medicine. You can use it for your kids' braces. You can use it for your spouse's glasses, your overdue chiropractor appointments. And that just means it's a good account for both you and your whole family to supercharge your health savings. Health is a big expense, and Fidelity projects that you and I will spend $172,500 in retirement on health care alone, and that's beyond Medicare. So a healthy HSA is a powerful way to bridge that gap between now and then. And did you know this can also help you save for retirement? So if you have money left over and you're above age 65, the limits are off. You can spend it on whatever you want, but it would just be taxed like a 401k or an IRA. I hope that you're really interested in learning more, so please visit us at fidelity.com/myHSA.
We'll stay with health right now because a condition affecting millions of Americans, both children and adults, ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, one of the most common psychiatric diagnoses in the country. Here's more on that.
October is ADHD Awareness Month, and we're here to talk about a very common health condition that affects 1 in 10 children and 1 in 16 adults in the United States. That is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. ADHD is a set of symptoms that affect concentration, attention span, distractibility, impulsivity, and feeling restless or fidgety. When we talk about ADHD, there are common myths and legends. We talk about boys with hyperactivity growing out of it, but we now know that's not the whole story. We know that ADHD is not just hyperactivity, but it can be an inattentive girl. And we know that 90% of our kids with ADHD are going to grow into being adults that have ADHD symptoms that cause difficulties in their life. We know that even now, women tend to get missed more than boys, and over half of women will not get a diagnosis of ADHD until they're adults. 60%, new data from the CDC, of women were missed as kids and don't get that diagnosis until they're adults. We know that ADHD affects various circuits in the brain, circuits that get involved with attention, concentration, avoiding distraction, and impulse control. We've developed 2 main classes of medications. The historic class of medicines were called stimulants. These were controlled substances that have been with us for a long time. They do have the potential for abuse or misuse or diversion. They last as long as they last. Some are short-acting, some are longer-lasting, but they're only there as long as they're there. We have a newer group of medicines called non-stimulants, and non-stimulants have no abuse potential. They're not controlled substances. And I'm here today to talk a medicine called Qelbree. Qelbree is a medicine I've been a part of research and development with the founding company called Supernus Pharmaceuticals. And Qelbree is a once daily ADHD medicine that can be taken any time of day. It can be taken in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, with supper, with a meal, without a meal, once daily to meet your needs. It's important to know that Qelbree's been researched not just in children, but also adolescents and adults. So we have specific data at Qelbree.com. That's QELBREE.com, that tells you about the side effects of Qelbree. It tells you about the boxed warning, including suicidal thinking and behavior. It tells you about the studies in children, what's the right dose for kids. It tells you about the studies in adolescents, what's the right dose for your teenagers. It tells you about studies in adults. How does ADHD affect me as an adult, and what's the right dose for me? It gives you information that you can go to your clinician, your healthcare provider, and say, listen, could I have ADHD? Could this be me? What's ADHD look like for a kid, adolescent, adult? Could a medicine like Qelbree be the right treatment option for me? So it gives you an informed decision to talk to. There's important new information that talks about breastfeeding. For women out there with ADHD, for the first time ever, we now have an ADHD medicine that's been looked at as far as what's the levels of concentration in breast milk, the relative infant dose, that's in the package label. Anything less than 10% is considered good. In the case of Qelbree, it was less than 1%. So less than 1% of the mother's exposure. So let me welcome the audience to look at Qelbree.com, QELBREE.com, to find out more about this treatment option and what may be right for you when it comes to treating ADHD.
Back here now in the Live Impact studio on WCNC Plus, staying with healthcare, this time the cost of healthcare, because as open enrollment begins for millions of Americans on November 1st, tomorrow, also millions of Americans could soon face a major increase in the cost of the healthcare coverage as key tax credits are set to expire. Adam Rubin, Vice President of the Economic Security Project, joining us now. Good morning, Adam. Thanks for joining me here this morning on Live Impact News.
Thanks.
So, Adam,
Thanks for
tell
having
me, absolutely, what exactly is changing this fall, and why could it mean higher healthcare costs for families?
Yeah, healthcare costs are going to double or even triple for tens of millions of families this fall, and many of them don't know it yet. Most working middle-class families who get their health care on their own buy it through the Affordable Care Act marketplace, or Obamacare, and they usually get tax credits that help lower the cost of the insurance. The big tax bill passed by Congress this summer allowed those tax credits to expire, and so that means the end of this year we're going to see skyrocketing prices and millions of people who can't afford their health care at all anymore at that new rate. As you say, November is the start of open enrollment, starting this Saturday. That's when people sign up for their health care for the next year. For most people, that's when they're going to find out what they owe, and it's going to be terrible sticker shock, the largest ever premium increases. And people who are already stuck with housing and utility and grocery bills, now their health care is going to go even higher.
All right, so an alarm bell going off right now for a lot of people, for our viewers. What should they be watching for if they feel like they might be impacted?
Yeah, I think just to zoom in on North Carolina, we're going to see the average premium increase will be about 149%. 450,000 people are projected to lose their health care entirely between the cuts to the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid. Take a 60-year-old couple living in the Charlotte area. They're working, earning $40,000, $45,000 a year each, and buying a fairly basic health insurance plan. Their monthly premium will increase by $2,023 every month. What kind of middle-class family can afford that? And it's going to get worse because the same bill will force hospitals and clinics to close or cut back services like maternity wards, especially out in rural areas. So we'll see people skipping necessities, skipping health care that they can't afford. And that's got real consequences for people like me who have a chronic health condition, who need to be able to cover their medication and their trips to the doctor.
And like you said, it's going to be a sticker shock for a lot of folks. And for those who are just going to opt to drop their coverage, what are their options then?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think this is going to affect everyone, even the folks who are not on the Affordable Care Act. When somebody can't afford health care anymore, they drop their coverage, they get sick, they end up in the emergency room. So wait times are going to increase. Hospitals pass along the costs to the rest of us. The health insurance companies jack up premiums to make sure they keep making their profits. So even if you get your health insurance through your employer or Medicare or Medicaid, I think the ripple effects are going to hit everyone.
And how long can we see this continue? And is there any end to this? I don't know if it's a crisis, but it's certainly a concern.
I think it's a crisis, and but the good news is it doesn't have to happen. This is caused by the tax bill that President Trump and congressional Republicans passed this summer that ended these tax credits for small businesses and working families. That's what's behind this healthcare emergency. But congressional Democrats are insisting on extending the premiums to keep costs down. Many Republicans in Congress are refusing. That's what's behind this government shutdown. But many Republicans are starting to say they're concerned about the impact of the price spikes on folks in their districts and want to see something done. So my hope is, I think we can all hope, that they can get together and reach a bipartisan deal to extend these tax credits, because we want to live in a world with affordable, quality healthcare, drugs that everyone can afford, and where healthcare is a right and not a luxury in this country.
Absolutely, as we are now into day 30 on the federal government shutdown. Where can folks go for more information?
People can go to healthcare.gov to find out about premiums in their area and learn more about their options.
All right. Adam Rubin, Vice President of the Economic Security Project, joining us. Insightful information, and definitely North Carolinians and Charlotteans will want to keep an eye out on across the board. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks very much for having me.
And we are just about at 9:30 this morning. Let's go ahead and take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Just about 9:30 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. We have just the best of the best. I mean, we have Brad Panovich, we have Nick Carboni, voted by Nerve magazine readers as
We have Jane Monreal.
I mean, if there was a live stream for the morning crew,
It'd be us.
It'd be Carlene and myself.
Right.
Car.
Yeah.
We're just putting it out there.
We're just
Nerve.
putting it out there.
Okay. But you know what? We also have living legend Larry Sprinkle, celebrated 40 years in a career that has spanned radio, TV, done so much for the community, weather in the Charlotte area. And he was named to and inducted to the North Carolina Association Broadcasting
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
He's a Hall
He
of
is
Famer.
a Hall of
We have
Famer.
we have a Hall of Famer in our midst.
It's
Can you
amazing.
imagine?
We're so proud and so happy for him. Congratulations. He'll be here later on, live with
Yeah.
Sturdivant, right?
Larry's coming on at 12:30 with
All
me
right,
and Nick.
12:30. Cool. So, in the meantime, this is his speech from yesterday's induction ceremony, having a lot of representatives, old and current CNC employees there to support him and cheer him on. If you didn't see any of it on the social, here is the whole thing for you now on WCNC Plus.
I was looking at the list of people on this, and I'm thinking, Edward R. Murrow, David Brinkley is on here, Jim Nance, and so many others. To be on that list is an honor beyond my imagination. I am overwhelmed for so many reasons. One of those, I want to point out that a whole group of my friends, my very special family, my TV family here today, they represent management, they represent my co-workers, producers, sales force, promotion. They've come from all over to be here. So thank you very, very much. I'm so honored to have two tables full. It was a big surprise to me. And I do have to kind of back up a moment. And the other surprise that I got was only a day ago when I found out that someone else was being honored today. Someone that I spent 13 years with over on 400 Radio Road, Sis Kaplan. And my radio career ended at the most special place on earth. Big Ways in WRQ. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris. It's this. I thank Chris and all the people I work with because Chris took my place not that long ago, and I am overwhelmed by this. I think back to when I was just a little kid. I was fascinated with radio. 5 years old, got a transistor radio, and I'd go to bed. You've heard the story. Transistor next to you, listening to the music. But what I really was fascinated with was the DJ, the guy on the radio. And I think back to WTOB in Winston-Salem. I listened to that. If I could just one day be like Dick Bennick, who was a legendary DJ back in those days. And I was fascinated with weather, storms and lightning and tornadoes and hurricanes as a little kid. And the Shell Weatherman. Every night at 6 o'clock on, back in those days, Channel 12, WSJS. Brian McMurray. That was my dream. And when I met him, I just turned 10 years old. And I'll never forget, he looked at me. I had a chance to tour the TV station and see the Shell Weather Tower, which was just a very small set. And he looked at me and he said, you're interested in this? I said, yes, sir. And he said, what is your name? Remember, I'm 10 years old. I said, my name's Larry Sprinkle. I tell that story everywhere I go, realizing, yes, it is my real name, and such an appropriate day to have this honor with some sprinkles out there. And you heard Joe talk about my beginnings in radio, WBBO in Forest City. Now, when I went to work there, I was 14 years old. I was a gangly, pimple-faced, crew-cut teenager. My pants up to here. I could literally put my wallet just like that back there. I was a sight for sore eyes, as my grandmother used to call me. And when I went to work there, I sat down one day with the program director and said, Larry, you're 14. No one should know that. You tell people on the telephone you're 20. And he said, you're 14. Try to embellish your voice, if you can work on that. So I said, yeah, I'll definitely try. I'll work on that. So on the air, I became, hi everybody, Larry Sprinkle here on WBBO. Big booming voice, but off the air, say okay. I got a lot of phone calls. And back in those days with no social media, no one knew what you looked like, which was really good for me. Every time a lady on the phone would say, "Hey, Larry, what do you look like?" Well, kind of like Paul McCartney, actually. Really? Oh, yeah. Well, that was mistake number one. I got a phone call, well, among many. I got a phone call from one of those ladies, girls, teenagers, whatever. Could we come down and see you at the station? Oh, yeah. Come on down. And that's when reality struck. So they were on the way down. I'm the pimply-faced, gangly teenager with the crew cut. And I looked out the station window and I could see a car driving up in the driveway, stopped. One girl, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very lovely ladies walking up towards me and the radio station. So the door, knock on the door was locked. I grabbed a broom, the story I've never told in my entire life until today. Went to the door, opened it up, and they went, where's Larry? He's in Studio B. He's talking to Paul McCartney long distance. He said, call him again, okay? Thank you. Bam. So Larry Sprinkle lied. But the show had to go on. And my life went on in radio. I am a big fan of small market radio. I admire it very much. Don Curtis, who's with us. Don, I work for 2 stations, WPXY, Pixie and Dixie in Greenville, North Carolina, and WCSO in Cherville, WBBO AM and FM in Forest City, and WCAB in Rutherford, North Carolina, among others. So my dream to make it in radio happened when I got the job at Big Waves at WROQ. Had a wonderful career there in radio. Then that dream of the Shell Weather Tower didn't develop into the Shell Weather Tower, but 40 years ago I came to, back in those days, different call letters, now WCNC TV. I came to a station where I've dedicated my life and had every experience on air that you can imagine, from standing in 1987 on the shores at the Outer Banks getting sandblasted by a tropical storm at the time, standing in a foot of snow for several hours doing live shots in that 1988 big snowstorm that we had 12 to 14 inches of snow in Charlotte at that time, the storm of the century, 1993, and then the ceiling of the TV station caved in front of me while I was live on the air back in 1989 during Hugo, to the time I was live on the air doing a broadcast for collecting food, and a dog bit my face right before I went on the air. And the show must go on, so I wiped my face off, went on the air, kind of, put my hands up around it, and then did a voiceover and stayed on the air to get through that. And then the parade in Belmont a couple years ago, when the car was riding, caught on fire while I'm in the car. And I'm hearing people going, hot, hot, and hot. I'm going, yeah, I know, hot, pretty hot. Yeah. No, your car's on fire. And there it was, flames pouring out from the car. Apparently the fuel tank or something in there got caught on fire. I just walked off and, jumped on a fire truck and finished the Belmont Christmas parade. It has been a career that, for me, I don't ever want to end. I have a hard time leaving the station, even though I backed off doing weather in the morning show. Still there every day, sweeping. I've got the broom that Joan gave me. But I want to thank once again the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters. It is as big an honor as I've ever had and ever probably will have to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I thank all of you for being here, and the staff, and Joan, thank you for being the greatest general manager, and thank you all.
And that is why Larry Sprinkle is one of the best, one of the many reasons he is so great. Congratulations to him again. Come back here at 12:30 because he'll join Nick Sturdivant and Carlene here in the Live Impact studio and do a debrief of of the debrief and his career, which is it just deserves so much. All right, we'll be right back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Let's go live now to Washington, D.C., where the Senate Armed Services nomination hearing is now taking place, just getting underway. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Nuclear or slick 'em in online, we will continue to ensure the credibility of deterrence for decades to come. Underpinning all of this is our nuclear command and control and communication system, often referred to as NC3. While the current system is secure and resilient, modernization and sustainment of this capability is just important as the weapon systems and platforms themselves. If confirmed, I will use my authorities to ensure the NC3 systems to continue to outpace the threat. The mission of U.S. Strategic Command is to deter our adversaries and employ force, excuse me, to guarantee the security of our nation and our allies. If confirmed, I will work with relevant agencies across the U.S. government within the department, collaborate closely with civilian leaders, and directly with my fellow combatant commanders as we monitor the global threats and execute operations in accordance with the National Defense Strategy. I commit to commanding a resilient joint force capable of conducting multi-domain operations focused on deterring aggression and, if necessary, defending our nation. I look forward to working with Congress and the members of this committee to address the strategic challenges of our great nation. Senator Fisher, Ranking Member Reed, distinguished members of this committee, it's an honor to sit before you today, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Admiral. To exercise its legislative and oversight responsibilities, it is important that this committee and other appropriate committees of the Congress be able to receive testimony, briefings, and other communications of information. So at this time, Admiral, I would ask you some standard questions that we give to all of our military nominees, and a yes or no answer is appropriate. Have you adhered to applicable laws and regulations governing the conflicts of interest?
Yes, Senator.
Do you agree, when asked, to give your personal views, even if those views differ from the administration in power?
Yes, I do.
Have you assumed any duties or undertaken any actions which would appear to presume the outcome of the confirmation process?
No, Senator.
Will you ensure your staff complies with deadlines established for requested communications, including questions for the record in hearings?
Yes, I will.
Will you cooperate in providing witnesses and briefers in response to congressional requests?
Yes, I will.
Will those witnesses be protected from reprisal for their testimony or briefings?
Yes, Senator.
Do you agree, if confirmed, to appear and testify upon request before this committee?
Yes.
Do you agree to provide documents, including copies of electronic forms of communication, in a timely manner when requested by the duly constituted committee, or to consult with the committee regarding the basis for any good faith delay or denial in providing such documents?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you very much. I will begin questions. We'll have a 5-minute round. Admiral, I appreciated our discussion earlier this week on NC3 modernization, and I appreciate your comments in your opening statement on that. We all know that if the President is unable to command, control, or communicate with nuclear forces in any circumstance, then we've lost our deterrence. Modernizing this fourth leg of the triad is just as important, if not more so, than the other 3 legs of our triad. If confirmed, will you also be the department's NC3 enterprise lead? And can you speak to the importance of modernizing our NC3 systems, including missile warning and missile tracking systems and the new SAOC aircraft?
Yes, Senator, I can speak to that, and thank you for the time in your office. I really appreciated the conversation. With respect to NC3, first off, I'd like to agree with the statement that you made. It's every bit as important. It's you can think of it as the fourth leg of our triad. We have to have assured command and control 24/7, 365. 4 broad threats that have to be addressed. They are addressed today and need to continue to be addressed going forward. Those are cyber, contested U.S. space, and by that I mean the ability of China or Russia to attack our space capabilities and degrade what we deliver from space. Very important for command and control. We have an increasingly contested electromagnetic spectrum environment, and we have a variety of novel missile systems that challenge our threat detection and missile defense capabilities. We need to address all 4 of those with the architecture going forward. We have a roadmap that we're executing along those lines in partnership with Secretary Duffy at A&S within the department and his team. And the attributes that we will continue to provide with that command and control are resilient, diversity of waveforms, diversity of platforms, and mobility, so that we address all 4 of those threats.
You're also going to have to work collaboratively with services, industry partners, and also our labs. Do you have any ideas in a short amount of time here to on how you can improve on that? I know that in the past there's been a good relationship, but what do you see as possible improvements?
General Cotton will often use the term by, with, and through the services, and I couldn't agree more. We have a very strong partnership with both the Navy and the Air Force. The Air Force providing approximately 2/3 of our nuclear command and control systems, and the Navy the other third. We'll continue to work very closely in partnership with them. Our lead for the NC3 Enterprise Center, or the NEC, is a senior executive named Amanda Cato with deep, deep experience in NC3 as an acquisition professional in the Air Force. She continues to work very closely with the services to deliver future capabilities to provide that assured command and control.
Thank you. The current programs of record for our nuclear forces, those were decided and set up back in 2010. Obviously, the geopolitical landscape has changed tremendously since that time. First time we have 2 peer competitors and adversaries. So given the new threats that we face, does it make sense for us to maintain that planned force posture or to reassess some of those underlying assumptions and to look at future threats that we have there? And I guess that's
Welcome back
around-
to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus at 9:50. We will get you back to that Senate hearing, one of many taking place today. Want to switch gears and talk about safe driving habits, because we know that distracted driving kills more than 10,000 people a year in the country, injuring over 1 million more. And that actually translates to quite a financial toll, nearly $100 billion each year. John Wade, State Farm Insurance, joining us now. Wow. We want to talk about sticker shock. $100 billion. What's the problem here, John? Can John hear me? All right, we are working to get our audio up. We can see him. John, can you hear me?
Hey, Carlene, good morning.
Hey, John, it's Jane. So I just talked about distracted driving killing 10,000 people. It's costing $100 billion annually as those accidents and fatalities translate to a real financial loss as well. What is the problem here with distracted driving?
Hey, good morning, Jane, and sorry for the audio issue there momentarily.
Okay.
Great to be with you today and certainly appreciate your time. You know, off the top, maybe I'll lead with this and I'll offer all of us a little bit of grace here. The fact that we're all so distracted is to a degree not our fault. It's kind of the condition that we've learned to live in, right? At work, we're seemingly always connected to our email or our instant message or however we're corresponding with our bosses. Kind of work from home and hybrid realities have blurred the lines between work and personal life, and a good many of us spend a fair portion of our evening engaging with our cell phones doing any number of things. And you know, in a vacuum, these are not bad things. These are great things. This is how we live our lives. But part of that hard reality there, Jane, is that we then take those distractions with us into the automobile. And we know that distracted drivers are dangerous drivers. And we also know that the ways in which we're talking about this as a society right now aren't getting to the results that we want. We're still seeing nearly 3,200 deaths a year as a result of distracted driving. So how can we as a company, how can we as a people start to think about our opportunity and obligation when we're behind the wheel a little bit differently?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are a lot of the research showing a large percentage of young drivers involved with looking at their phone, distracted driving, but really a lot of folks under 40 and even under, 50. We need to look at the GPS, like you said, all of the things the tools that help us in the car are also causing some of these terrible statistics. What can people do?
Yeah, Jane, you're right. And truthfully, I most routinely go to thinking about the cell phone as the problem. And I think most of us, when we drive down the roads these days, probably identify the cell phone as the problem most readily because we can see our friends and neighbors driving with the phone up in front of them. But it's not just the cell phone. I think we should be more actively thinking about distraction across the spectrum. So eating in the vehicle, which a good many of us do. We're all very busy and we don't have time to sit down and eat. Eating can be a distracted. We know that a number of folks that are engaging in that way. Talking to our kids or yelling at our kids, as the case may be, can be a distraction. And so I want to be clear that it's not just the cell phone that's the culprit, but it certainly is a primary culprit. We know that 34% of us admit to manually dialing cell phones while we're in the car. Almost 40% of us admit to reading or sending text messages. And perhaps most alarmingly, 1 out of 5 of us admit to reading or sending emails when we're behind the wheel, none of which are particularly safe behaviors and certainly behaviors that we would like to see folks engage in less.
Yeah, I see on the list here, applying makeup, shaving even. Oh my, daydreaming.
Stuff, right?
Oh my goodness. And really, 2 seconds is the number that it doesn't sound like a lot, but what kind of trouble can we get in 2 seconds?
Jane, I'm so glad you said it, and I'll underscore it. And if your viewers take away only one number, take that one away. 2 seconds. 2 seconds doubles your risk of being in an accident. If you look away for a mere 2 seconds to adjust the radio or read that text message or holler at your child, 2 seconds is all it takes to double your risk. That is an impressive and impactful number. And I'll give you one more, Jane, for maybe some of our sports fans out there. It takes roughly 5 seconds to read the average text message. It also takes about 5 seconds to drive the length of a football field going 55 miles an hour. And so if you correlate the act of looking away from the road to check your text message and think about that as though you're driving down a football field with a blindfold on or with your eyes closed, I think that starts to make the risks feel a little bit more real than it would otherwise. And so, again, not here to scare, and certainly primarily here to encourage us to think about the opportunity differently. But the statistics are very real and they're very concerning.
All right, let's talk about a campaign. You used to be kind of fear and consequences, right? Yep. As we are not fear mongers, and like you said, you don't want to instill fear and just encourage folks. What is the message then these days?
Yeah, Jane, the message is truly, let's not view attentive driving as an obligation, but let's view that as an opportunity, and really an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves and to disconnect from all of the distractions that surround our daily lives. We're trying to think about this and talk about this as more of a wellness initiative and wellness activity, that if we do this properly and really leverage the opportunity that we've been given when we're behind the wheel, it is truly that. Jane, back to where we started. We are constantly bombarded with distraction and connectivity, and the vehicle offers us a very unique opportunity to shut all of that down. Just quick. One of my favorite times of the day these days is when I get in my truck in the morning to go to work, and it's because when I slam that truck door shut, I sit there in pure silence for a couple of minutes, just soaking in the silence and realizing that there is no noise from my children or from my wife or from the dogs who I love. And I'm very excited to help get up and get ready for school. But there's something beautiful about having that moment of silence in the vehicle. And there's something even more impactful about realizing that moment of connectivity, of focus, can persist throughout the length of that drive if we make that a focus, if we are intentional about not allowing those distractions to enter back into our purview. And I'm trying to role model that behavior now. Jane, I think all of us that have children that have little passengers that are watching us from the time that they're 5 years old to the time they take their place behind the wheel, they're learning. They're learning our behaviors. They're learning what to do and what not to do. And I think if we all lean into this opportunity to view attentive driving as a wellness activity to recenter ourselves, our younger generation will start to take note as well.
I got to say, John, I'm with you. I love it. Being surrounded by TVs and news and so many feeds during the day. I've told Carlene many times, actually, when I get into my car at the end of the day, it is a cone of silence. And I need like zero noise at that moment. And
it's awesome, isn't it? Right? Like, where else can you get that these days?
Yeah, being one with the road. Just concentrate on the drive. All right.
I love it.
We love it. The wellness activity of attentive driving. Well done, John. Let's get those numbers in the right direction and be present with our loved ones and the road. Thank you, John, for the time.
Appreciate your time, and for all your viewers, please head out to statefarm.com. Check out our Simple Insights page. We've got a lot more content about distracted driving, not only the stats and the figures, but also some helpful tips for how to do better.
All right. Sounds great. John, thanks again.
Thanks, Jane. Have a great morning.
You too. And we are going to continue this great morning after the break on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, time right now is 10 o'clock. I'm Jane Monreal. Armed Services nomination hearing is taking place right now. It's happening here. You can watch it on the secondary channel on WCNC, on the app, and on the Plus. But right now, we want to go out to House Speaker Johnson, who is speaking live on the 30th day of the federal government shutdown. This is Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
SNAP program benefits will run dry. It means that WIC assistance, that's women, infants, and children, the nutrition programs, will be at risk of running dry. It means that Head Start centers, which serve 60,000 children nationwide, will be at risk of closure. Millions of federal workers, and we've listed them here every day. You're talking about air traffic controllers and TSA agents and park rangers and Border Patrol agents, law enforcement around the country. The stewards of our nuclear arsenal will miss their paychecks. Thousands of flights, by result, will be canceled or delayed, while our borders and national security will be directly jeopardized at a very dangerous moment in world history. And our country will lose tens of billions in gross domestic product. With each passing day, the pain gets more real, and the Democrats are guaranteeing when they vote to reject our clean funding resolution. We expect they will do that again today for the 15th time. They are showing no shame whatsoever in their actions. Now, just as we clearly know what is happening, which we've recounted here every morning, the American people can never forget. We also clearly know why it's happening. And I brought a few friends. We brought some colleagues here from the state of New York and New York City to share with you about some of what's going on here. Back in March, this is very clear what happened. Let me summarize very briefly as I can. Back in March, Chuck Schumer voted for the clean CR, the same measure that's on the floor now. He did the right thing, and he went on the floor of the Senate, and he gave an impassioned speech of why we could never inflict all this pain on the American people. He meant it from his heart, and he was consistent in what he had done over his 44 years in Congress, always voting to fund the government. But when he did the right thing in March, he received an onslaught of criticism from the far left base and the Democrat Party. He almost lost his job. Many of you wrote about it. He was in jeopardy of not winning his next reelection. That's how serious it was. So Chuck Schumer got a bunch of consultants and staff in a back room, and they concocted a plan, a political stunt. And they determined right then that the next time there was a funding measure, no matter how meritorious and no matter how much it would cause pain to the American people, that he would vote against it. He would show a fight to President Trump so he could save his political skin. It's exactly what happened. He did this so he could prove to his base that he's showing a fight. And as a result of this charade, he has brought the Democrats to their lowest point in decades. Literally, the Democratic Party has its lowest approval rating. Democrats in Congress have their lowest approval rating ever in the history of polling. The labor unions, working class Americans, independents are fleeing his party, and they are coming to the party of common sense because they see us here trying to solve these problems. They see us here voting over and over and over to fund the government and give them their paychecks, and they see the Democrats dug in against it. And now Chuck Schumer is desperately trying to cling to power. Unfortunately, when you make decisions out of fear and political desperation, you have already lost control. And the new power center in the Democrat Party is one that should frighten every common sense American. The radical socialist wing is rising. It is led by people like AOC and Bernie Sanders. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer know this. They're smart politicians in that way. They can feel the political winds, and they know that they have to continue to act belligerently in order to gain the favor of the far left. It's their own political survival that they had put in front of the needs of the entire country. Let me say that again. The Democrat leaders in the Senate and the House have put their own political survival in front of the needs of the American people. Exhibit A is Zoran Mamdani. New York City, America's largest city, the cradle of capitalism that has always been, is facing a real crisis right now. They've got a 34-year-old, unproven, untested socialist who looks to be the next mayor. He may well be elected. Mamdani winning New York City would be the biggest win for the Marxists, the socialists, in the history of this country. We have, to this point, in nearly 250 years, been able to hold off those kinds of ideas. We've been able to cling to the foundational principles of America, the ideas of individual freedom and limited government and the rule of law and peace through strength and fiscal responsibility and free markets and human dignity. All those things are in jeopardy when the Marxists take over. And it's the clearest sign yet that the Democrats' radical Marxist wing is winning the battle for control of their party. Look at where the energy is. This should be alarming to everyone around the country. Mamdani has, of course, called to defund the police, to abolish all prisons, to legalize prostitution. He lambasted the New York PD, the New York Police Department, as a racist system. And you might have seen, few in the media are covering this, but there was a new video uncovered from 2023, just 2 years ago, and he said, quote, "We have to be clear, when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF." Look, it's a unique talent to merge one's loathing for American law enforcement with their loathing for the Jewish people. But this guy's, he's managed to do it. New York is just the tip of the iceberg. It's not isolated to America's largest city. It's other cities as well. Look at Seattle, where the leading candidate for mayor is an open socialist. Look at Minneapolis, where the sitting socialist mayor is facing a challenge from his left flank. And look here in Congress, where we have our own wing of Marxist acolytes serving here. Amazingly, the media is criticizing Republicans for fixating on Mamdani. I read some of that yesterday. This socialist uprising is something that we have a responsibility to call out and sound the alarms. That's what elected representatives of the people are supposed to do, and we take that responsibility seriously. And obviously, Mamdani is a big issue here in the halls of Congress. Why? Because the second highest ranked Democrat in the country, Leader Jeffries, endorsed him. They're making Mamdani a mainstream Democrat now, and this party has left the people. Of course, the press wants us to ignore Mamdani. Here it's an embarrassment because most of the press is on the side of the Democrats. They don't want us to talk about that, but we have to. Because by endorsing Mamdani, Hakeem Jeffries has endorsed and co-owned his positions, his past statements, his Marxist playbook, and everything else that guy espouses. And so, too, does every single House Democrat who will be inviting their leader, Jeffries, to their campaigns and to their districts next year. Every single one of them at every campaign stop should be asked, what do you think about Mamdani? What do you think about his positions? While House Democrats court Marxists in New York, Senate Democrats have chosen to shut down the government over a totally clean, nonpartisan CR. It's the first time in the history of this country, that any party has done that, has had the audacity to shut the government down over a totally clean, nonpartisan funding measure. They're bowing to the demands of their far-left base, and no one can deny that. The facts are very clear, and the American people are intelligent. They understand what's happening here. We pray that the Democrats, at least a handful of centrists, if there are any moderates left in the Democrat Party in the Senate, we pray that they will come to their senses and they will do the right thing by the American people, that they will stop all the pain, and that they will reopen the government. As I mentioned on Saturday, things are going to become very dire. There is one way out of this, the easy way, the obvious way, and that is for the Democrats to do their job and vote for the CR. Now, I mentioned we brought some of our good friends and colleagues here from New York to talk about the mess that the Democrats have created in the Empire State. Now, why are we focusing on New York? Because, again, it's a bellwether for the rest of the nation. If you're watching at home, you need to understand the dynamics of what's happening in New York, because you have to ensure that it doesn't happen in your city, in your town, in your state. And these folks are watching this, and they're fighting it. Our Republicans in New York are trying to hold the line. They're trying to defend what is great about this extraordinary and exceptional nation that we have. But they have...
And we'll get back to the House GOP leadership on this day 30 into the federal government shutdown. As we switch gears at 10:10 right now, back to health news. Right now, we want to shine a spotlight on a rare endocrine disorder that affects thousands of Americans, but goes often undiagnosed. Endocrinologist Dr. Alan Krasner joining us this morning, along with patient Tony. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us here on Live Impact News.
Good morning.
What is this disorder, doctor? And explain, the history on this.
So acromegaly is a rare but serious disease. It's caused by a benign tumor that forms in the pituitary gland. And this tumor makes too much growth hormone. Too much growth hormone over time causes slow changes in the appearance of the face. It causes enlargement of the hands and the feet. And it also causes damage to internal organs, including the heart and the joints of the body. This disease progresses so slowly that healthcare providers and even the patients themselves may not realize these things are happening. So unfortunately, there is often long delays in making this diagnosis, and this leads to delays in starting necessary treatment.
It could take up to about 8 years. That is a long time. Why does it take so long for people to realize what they're going through?
Well, it is because of the slow nature of the changes that occur both in the external appearance of the body, but also in the internal organ damage. For example, there are some characteristic changes in the facial appearance that occur in this disease, including enlargement of the jaw, for example. But even the patients themselves don't see it happening. It happens so slowly. And actually, one of the best ways to make this diagnosis in clinic for a physician is to ask to see a picture of the patient from 5-10 years ago. And oftentimes when you see the changes that have occurred over that period of time, you can pretty much establish this diagnosis.
Let me bring in patient Tony, because Tony had this diagnosis. When did you notice something wasn't right, and what was your journey like?
Thanks for asking. Well, I noticed around 2015, my journey with acromegaly started when my shoes began to fit tight, my ring fit tight, I had constant pain in my hips, and I didn't realize that those were signs for something bigger. I had an appointment with my primary care physician back then and about the ongoing pain, and he ordered some tests. The results of those tests led to my diagnosis of acromegaly.
And so how have you been living with it now?
Well, living with it now has changed a lot about my day-to-day life. Physically, I've had constant joint pain and fatigue, enlarged hands and feet. Emotionally, I've learned to give myself grace. I found a great support system, and I've encouraged other people to give themselves grace as well and be able to live with acromegaly.
Well, I mean, really, that's such a lesson for anything in our daily lives and all the challenges, is right? It's just giving yourself some grace. Doctor, if this goes diagnosed, what treatment options are there?
Well, it's usually treated first with an attempt to surgically remove the pituitary tumor that causes this disease, and that works usually about half the time if an experienced surgeon is doing the procedure. Medications, though, are required for those who do not go into remission after surgery. Historically, these medications often require monthly doctor visits for deep, painful injections. New medications have come out, though, and there are more on the way to help these patients live their lives and spend less time treating their disease. I'm here with Crinetics Pharmaceuticals, really working hard to raise awareness of this condition because it is very important and needs to be promptly recognized and treated.
Absolutely. So the impact that viewers can have after watching this and advocating for themselves if they feel something is wrong, doctor, what would you say to those people?
Well, the first step is to talk to your healthcare provider, and I would also encourage you to consult acromegalyreality.com for a lot of good information.
All right. And Tony, thank you for sharing your journey as well and your message to viewers out there.
My message would be to give yourself grace, to understand that you're not alone, that there are a lot of us who are going through this, and that we together actually can grow and live a healthy life while having acromegaly.
All right, gentlemen, Dr. Tony, thank you for joining us and helping us become and learn a little bit more about this life-changing disorder. Thank you for sharing the information this morning.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we take you back to the GOP House Leadership Press Conference that happens live every morning since the federal government shutdown has happened about 30 days ago. Let's continue with this morning's presser now on WCNC Plus.
Benefits. Those cards are going to go to zero when they go to the grocery store to try to put food on the table. There will be no money in those accounts. And what is Chuck Schumer going to tell those families? It's no longer hypothetical. It's no longer theoretical. It's real suffering and pain, and they know that. We've given you the quotes over and over these last few weeks. They admit they are causing suffering. They're using the American people for leverage, and they just don't care. But I think they're going to start hearing more and more from people. There's some people we've been hearing from. The National Veteran Advocate, his retired U.S. Army Sergeant Eric Donahoe, said this, quote, "The decision to vote against advancing the CR is now causing financial harm to families who serve this country." He went on to say, quote, "When I spoke with Democratic staffers that I know they called this shutdown a political opportunity. They think the more Americans hurt, the more power they gain. They even bragged about it," Donahoe said. Quote, "This isn't a headline to us. It's rent, it's groceries, it's mental health, it's stability." And of course, you've heard just a few days ago, we had the National Air Traffic Controllers Association and the American Federation of Government Employees demanding that Democrats pass the clean CR. More and more, you're seeing this growing chorus of people from all corners, including Democrat corners, telling their own party leaders, stop this madness, end the madness, and vote to open the government. But again, this weekend, it gets even more painful, more suffering that they will impose if they keep this madness up. And so I'm going to try to find 5 Democrat senators. It's all we need is 5. So let's start with Jon Ossoff in Georgia. Starting this weekend, over 1.3 million enrollees in SNAP in his home state of Georgia lose their benefits. 1.3 million, Senator. What are you going to tell those families if you vote no today? If you vote to take their food away this weekend? That's what your vote means today. 109,000 federal workers in his state of Georgia. Of course, the largest airport in America is in his home state of Georgia, and they're already experiencing flight delays in Atlanta. 231,000 women, infant, and children will lose their benefits in Senator Ossoff's home state of Georgia if he votes no today. Think about them when you're casting that vote. Senator Warner in Virginia, 825,000 SNAP enrollees in his home state of Virginia, 189,000 federal workers. Don't come up here and give some speech lamenting about the hardships those people are facing when you're the one voting to impose those hardships. You can stop that today by voting yes. 107,000 women, infant, and children will lose their benefits in Virginia if Senator Warner votes no. Tina Smith in Minnesota, 452,000 enrollees in the SNAP program, 33,000 federal workers, and 101,000 women, infant, and children in Minnesota will lose their benefits if Tina Smith votes no today. Gary Peters in Michigan, over 1.4 million enrollees in SNAP. No food stamp benefits this weekend to 1.4 million Michiganders. 56,000 federal workers, 189,000 women, infant, and children will go without food this weekend in Michigan if Senator Peters votes no. Senator Sheehan in New Hampshire, 76,000 enrollees in SNAP, 9,000 federal workers, and 12,000 women, infant, and children will go hungry in New Hampshire if Senator Sheehan votes no. I could go on with more and more of these. All we need is 5. That's 5 right there. If they get the courage, they don't have to impose that pain on families. But the only way this suffering is prevented is if they come to their senses and vote yes. We all know the math. We all know what's needed. But it's not just math. It's millions and millions of families across this country that will truly suffer and go without food if they vote no today. It's a straightforward vote. We've all voted yes and passed it through the House over a month ago. End the madness and pass this bill. Our whip, Tom Emmer.
We are officially 30 days into the Democrats' needless government shutdown. 30 days that millions of federal workers have gone without a paycheck. 30 days that critical telehealth services and in-home hospital care programs have been put on pause for the vulnerable Americans who need it most. 30 days that our national security has been put at risk due to staffing shortages. Not to mention the SNAP benefits that you've heard our leader go through in detail that will be cut off for more than 40 million low-income Americans if the Democrats fail to reopen the government before Saturday. It's been 30 days of pure obstruction from Democrat lawmakers who care more about appeasing the radical Mamdani and Omar Fata wing of their party than reopening the government for the people they were elected to serve. Americans are hurting. Families are turning to food banks. Major airports are issuing ground stops. But the Democrats don't care. In fact, they've orchestrated this chaos by refusing to support our nonpartisan government funding bill 14 times now. And for what? So that they can kowtow to the people like Kami. And I will just say to my great friend and colleague, Claudia Tenney, socialists are now the moderates in my grandfather's Democrat Party. These are communists and Marxists. They are kowtowing to the people like Kami Mamdani ahead of the election. People are struggling in the meantime to put food on the table, and the Democrats are too busy playing politics to do anything about it. It's disgusting and it needs to end. I say it every day when we do this. Remember, all we need is 5 Senate Democrats to come to their senses, break ranks with Chuck Schumer, support our clean CR, and reopen the government. It's past time for Democrats in Congress to get serious and do their jobs for the people they were elected to serve, not for the communist mayoral candidate in New York City. Our conference chair.
Thank you. Kami Mandami, that might stick. That might stick. Well, good. Yeah, the truth hurts, right? Works. All right. Well, this Saturday, SNAP benefits run out for 42 million Americans. 42 million Americans, the SNAP benefits will run out. Let me say it one more time and let it sink in. 42 million families, including thousands in my home state of Michigan, could lose the ability to put food on the table for their families. Why? Because Democrats choose to use their pain and their hunger as leverage. Leverage for more wasteful spending, leverage to satisfy their radical base. And what are Republicans doing? Republicans did their job and are going to continue to do our job. We voted for a clean, responsible bill to keep the government open and fully fund SNAP. So let me be very clear. Republicans voted to continue funding for SNAP and continue to have families have the ability to feed their families. Democrats voted to take food off the table and voted to discontinue SNAP benefits. It is that simple. Democrats voted to shut it down, and they voted to deny food assistance to 42 million Americans. And they voted that way more than a dozen times. Just so y'all didn't get confused, they wanted to make sure that they rubbed it in your face more than a dozen times that they wanted to stop the SNAP benefits. Not just once, not just twice. They wanted to make doggone sure you knew they voted more than a dozen times to kill the SNAP benefits, to take food off your table. Just so you're clear. And let's remember, they did it. And let's make sure that we don't forget, and let's make sure we remind them who voted to keep food on the table and who voted to take food off the table. Because at some point in time, they're going to reverse what they're talking about and do what they normally do, and that's try and blame us. But let's hold them accountable for once to the votes that they've taken. I can assure you I will. I met one of these recipients last weekend while I was volunteering at a food bank in St. Clair County. His name was Jim. Jim's wife is a teacher, and he's a retired auto worker. They rely on SNAP to help cover the cost of groceries. Jim waited in line for more than 3 hours because he knows he won't be getting his benefits. That's what he told me. But you know what he told me? I thought this was very insightful. He told me, thank you. He told me, thank you for all you're doing to keep the government open. He also told me to please talk to our senators and ask them, since they voted and they campaigned on being moderates and reaching across the aisle, to fulfill their campaign promises and stop using families like Jim as leverage and care about the people that they were elected to represent. I also spoke with a woman who recently lost her husband. She's now raising her grandkids and told me she's never needed help before, but now she's struggling to afford groceries. These are real people struggling. Real people that Republicans are actually fighting for, and real people that I am fighting for. Jim is not leverage. Jim is a person with a family to feed. Open up the government and stop using Jim and his family as leverage to kowtow to your radical political base. Do what you know is right and what you have said is right, and open up the government. A farmer back home once told me, when you're not hungry, you have a lot of problems. When you're hungry, you have one. Right now, families on SNAP have a problem, and that problem should never, ever be used as political leverage. So Republicans, we're going to keep on working, and we're going to keep on fighting. And you know what? We will keep showing up. And while we keep demanding that Democrats stop using suffering Americans as pawns in their political games, I implore my two senators, do what you said you were going to do. Do what you said that you are. You've reached across the aisle. You're moderates. You care about people. Well, show that in your actions and vote for a clean CR for families like Jim who you represent. Please, they are counting on you. And every no vote means that you are keeping food from their table. So please, it is time to pass the clean CR and actually put the people who you represent, Americans, first. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions. I just want to thank again our colleagues from New York, LaLota and Lawler, Garbarino, Langworthy and Tenney. It's a difficult job to hold the line in that state, but they do it very, very well, and we're grateful they're there, and that there are so many common sense New Yorkers who still believe in freedom and in the greatness of America, and they keep sending us patriots like this to do the job. So we'll take a few questions. Yes, sir, Secretary.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. During the last shutdown in 2019, it was the first Trump administration, and they made sure that in the second month of the shutdown, SNAP benefits would go out. They had them sent early. Why do you think they shouldn't do that this time?
Well, the president, this administration has done exactly what he did in the first term, and that is bend over backwards to make sure that we mitigate the harm. We explained here yesterday that any administration in a shutdown scenario has figuratively a control panel of pain dials. In the Obama administration, 2013, when they shut it down, they turned all the dials to 10. They wanted it to hurt, and so remember famously they put the yellow crime tape around the World War II memorial and prevented aging veterans from going and visiting these landmarks. They made it hurt. President Trump has done exactly the opposite. I mean, he's done everything he can. He's ordered all of his cabinet secretaries to mitigate the harm. So, for example, as you know, with WIC funding, they found a way to fund that with tariff revenue. We found a way to pay the troops once already in October, hopefully at the end of this month by moving money around. But it's very difficult to do. Those are not inexhaustible funds. When it comes to SNAP, some of the Democrats have argued that you can use this contingency fund, but the truth is there's no legal mechanism to do it. Unlike with WIC funding that was attached to a 1930s era statute that was related to tariff funds because it was related to nutrition and food coming over the border. There's no such legal avenue to give SNAP funding now. It doesn't exist. The problem is the contingency and the authority to do that was voted down in the CR when the Democrats themselves did it. So the president has lamented this. He has informed USDA and everybody. Do as best you can, but the money doesn't exist to do it. The simplest way to end the pain and the simplest way to make this stop is for the Democrats to do the obvious and right thing and vote for the nonpartisan funding measure so that we can turn everything back on. Then we will get back here, and then we will debate all these other extraneous issues. But right now, the first job of the government is to keep it in operation and take care of the people who depend upon all these services we've articulated today. It's nonsense, and it has to end, and you should be asking them the tough questions, why they're willing to inflict this pain on the people for their partisan political purposes. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker, some more moderate senators, Senators Murkowski, Peters, and Shaheen, have said that discussions on how to end the shutdown have picked up this week. Are you writing on those? How do you feel about them? And specifically, how do you feel about the idea of ACA subsidies working group as a commitment?
ACA subsidy working group. Look, I'm not surprised that the conversations are turning up in earnest. I mean, when you're talking about the handful of centrists and moderates that are there, they feel the pressure of this. You have all the major unions now coming out, as we've noted, demanding that they do the right thing and get the paychecks flowing again. You have flights being delayed and canceled. It harms people on their nutrition and their food and everything else. And so this is not a surprise to us. We welcome them doing the right thing, but again, we don't have anything to negotiate because we didn't put any partisan Republican priorities on the CR at all. I don't have anything I can pull off of it to make it more palatable for them. So our urge and our plea to them is just do the darn right thing and open the government. And then we'll figure all the rest of these things out. We were always scheduled. We were always planning to have the debate about the COVID-era subsidies and all these other issues in October, November, December. The COVID-era subsidies don't expire until the end of December. There are all sorts of discussions going on about that, all kinds of ideas. I could give you dozens of them that have been collected just in the House Republican Conference. There needs to be massive reform. There need to be income caps. There needs to be the elimination of fraud, waste, and abuse in that program, which we think is rife in it, and many other things. So there's informal working groups going on as we speak. There's discussions being had amongst all the members. But we've got to get the lights turned back on here and get the services provided to the people so that we can come here and do the rest of the legislative job. Yes, ma'am.
Would you be willing to... House Speaker Mike Johnson wrapping up today's live press conference out of D.C. on this day 30 into the federal government shutdown. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Time right now is 10:38 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. A special segment for you now because senior living dining, the dining experience particularly, has come a long way. Today's community serving up restaurant quality cuisine. And yesterday, Liberty Senior Living at the Barclay at South Park proving just that. Their first ever Top Chef competition. So this morning we're joined live by Robert, or Bobby, Center. He's the culinary service specialist for Liberty Senior Living. And the evening's big winner, Chef Pam Ballard from South Bay at Mount Pleasant in South Carolina. Good morning to you both. Thanks for joining us here.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning.
All right, so Bobby, let's start with you. This was the first Top Chef competition. What inspired you guys to launch this kind of event?
Yeah, so we started talking about this a little over a year ago. We really wanted to highlight not only our culinary department, but our chefs and their capability. Try to kind of let them freelance a little bit. And then we also wanted to involve our residents. Dining is such a vital part of senior living. So we took it and we blended it, and then we put together this pretty awesome event.
Yeah, fantastic. Chef Pam Ballard, the big winner. You got some bragging rights. You got a little pocket change there.
Yes.
Congratulations to you. How does it feel to be the inaugural Top Chef? And what dishes did you prepare?
Oh, it feels great. The preparation that went into this event, huge support from the residents in our community. They were a part of it from beginning to end. I did tasting trials with them, so I got a lot of input for the final dish from everybody. We prepared a pan-seared scallop with forbidden black rice and a pea puree. With red pepper tuile and fried crab with it. Our ingredient list that we needed to utilize had to have herbs and it had to have peppers. So we looked at every aspect that would incorporate different flavors and different techniques to include those ingredients. And I had input from everybody, flavor profiles and, how I was utilizing the ingredients. So that was our first dish. And then for our dessert, we went for a completely after coffee, dinner coffee theme and edible chocolate cup. We did quiche marinated dark cherries. We had to incorporate fruit as an aspect, and so we chose to go in a different direction as well, and we chose avocado as the second fruit because not many people think about fruit or avocado as a fruit. And we made a chocolate mousse out of it. And we kind of showed them a different, another usage for avocado because people really don't think about avocado in that aspect. And we incorporated a little bit of espresso or Kahlua with that, a little devil's food cake, and caramel whipped cream, and kind of took the judges on almost like a date night. It was great.
That was an awesome sounding meal for sure. Bobby, this competition, what does it say about the evolution of dining in senior living programs and communities?
Yeah, so if you look at, when I think of, when people get in their older stages, I think of nursing homes, and we've really advanced past that. And then with the dining piece, we've taken it to a whole nother level. Our residents playing a huge role in our menu development. We have dining committees, they work with our chefs, so they get a lot of input in it. It's important for our chefs to, we offer the freshest ingredients, just high quality stuff that you would see at your favorite restaurant that you visit on the weekends. So that's really what we try to tap into. Not so much the boring aspect of what you would think of food in those environments in the past. So.
Yeah, Chef Pam, do your residents know about your prize and that you won?
Yes, they do. I have had an outpour of emails and messages, congratulating me. They were all watching live stream while the event was taking place, and so I got a lot of video footage of everybody standing ovation, clapping, all very excited that our community won, that I won, because they've been a very important part of it. And so this meant a lot to us and to them, and for the community as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to both of you, what message do you hope people will take away when it comes to dining and senior living communities in general?
Well, go ahead, Bobby.
No, go ahead, Pam. I'll let you lead off.
From my perspective, I want people to know that, as Bobby mentioned, senior communities and food, they often get a rap of food is boring, but come with an open mind, be prepared to try new things, and you'd be surprised at what the chefs would prepare. Be involved and share your recipes, things you want to challenge them with. And, enjoy the food. It's a very important part of every day.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'll say is, the one thing, especially at Liberty, is we give our chefs full reign. Every community is different. You might go down to Wellington Bay and have something more, Florida-like. We have a property in Louisiana. You might go there and have some Creole food, and then, so on and so on. So yeah, I think, when it comes to the senior living program that we run at Liberty, we just try to keep, pushing and trying to stay ahead of the curve. Just a good example of that, Hayes Barton Place in Raleigh just became the first seed oil-free cooking facility in America. So we just try to, we just really try to push the boundaries when it comes to our culinary program. And just, try to please the people, the residents are the most important thing. So.
Well, it sounds like you're doing an amazing job. Now I'm in the mood for pan-seared scallops and all of the things: espresso, chocolate, avocado mousse, you name it. Move over Jell-O and oatmeal, right? All right, you two, Robert or Bobby Center and Chef Pam Ballard. Thank you both for taking the time this morning to join us here and recapping what happened last night. Sounds like a great event, and hope to see more of that for years to come.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you
guys. Absolutely. And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Here at 10:49 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we will take you back out to Washington, D.C. for the Senate Armed Services nomination hearing, which, by the way, if you've missed any of this, is going to be on our YouTube channel, as well as happening live when we go to Charlotte today. That will continue on our secondary channel on WCNC Plus. In the meantime, we'll listen in live on Live Impact News.
As a senator, as a United States citizen, to put a stop to this and protect families in my state of Nevada. So, Admiral Corral, can you clarify what you told the committee earlier this morning and clearly tell us, in your expert opinion, are explosive nuclear tests necessary, yes or no?
Senator, I'd be happy to schedule a follow-on briefing in a classified setting to have a discussion about testing. the STRATCOM commander's role, and if confirmed, my role would be to provide the requirements for the accuracy.
Do you think then
and
we're
confidence
not
in,
meeting you do not feel confident with the tests that our national labs and what we're doing at the test site, that the tests that we've been doing since 1992, when we stopped that above and below ground nuclear testing, have not been adequate enough to ensure the integrity of our nuclear arsenal?
the adequacy and efficacy of the nuclear weapons stockpile is certified on an annual basis.
And do you
it
trust in
was-
those tests?
And it was certified satisfactorily, and I do trust that assessment.
And so
the
would you
subject matter
counsel
experts.
the president on national security implications? And let me tell you that we like to say in Nevada, what happens in Las Vegas stays in Vegas. But if you start those explosive nuclear tests, I can tell you this, every bit of air, every bit of groundwater, every bit of soil across these United States will be contaminated with radiation, and everyone in this country will suffer, not just the people of Nevada. So how would you counsel the president on this issue of resuming explosive nuclear tests?
Senator, I would provide my best military advice in a private setting and classified setting.
So I know you're not there yet, and you've had a career working in all of this, worked very hard and have so much knowledge. I look forward to really working with you and working to move all of these issues forward. I just want to be sure that you agree with data-informed assessments and that there really isn't a technical or strategic justification for resuming what might be a great photo op of a mushroom cloud over the western United States.
Senator, I have always been driven by data and, to the best of my ability, provide forthright and candid advice, and I commit that will not change going forward. And thank you for the question.
Thank you. I look forward to setting up that meeting in the SCIF to discuss this further. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Rosen. Senator Warren, you were recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I want to say thank you to Senator Rosen. I want to follow up, but it's clear you're not going to answer much here in an open setting. But I'd like to join you when the meeting goes to the SCIF to understand the seriousness of this moment and what it means for our nation. Last night, the president may have launched us on a path of a new arms race when he announced that we should base our testing of nuclear weapons on what other countries, including states like North Korea, do to terrorize the world. At the same time, the Trump administration is cracking down on independent oversight and reporting at the Pentagon. This should be a flashing red light for this committee and for our constitutional oversight duties. This is billions, even trillions of taxpayer dollars that we're talking about, and the safety and security of the people and land of the United States itself. We need independent assessments for what's happening here, and we need someone who's going to be candid with us about both their assessment and the facts about what's going on. So if I can, I'm going to ask some other questions that I think we can answer appropriately in this setting. I want to say congratulations on your nomination. As the commander of the U.S. Strategic Command, it's going to be your job to manage our current and future nuclear arsenal. The Congressional Budget Office estimates our plans to build new nuclear weapons will cost $946 billion just over the next 10 years. That's almost $1 trillion, and that's just an estimate. Systems like Sentinel, the land-based nuclear missile program, have turned out to cost almost double their original estimates given to Congress. And that doesn't just cost taxpayers, it jeopardizes our national security. Ballooning costs have forced the Air Force to consider postponing and scaling back its next generation tanker, airlifter, and next generation air dominance fighter programs. The military services are responsible for acquisition programs, but as the STRATCOM commander and member of the Nuclear Weapons Council, you're responsible for overseeing the nuclear weapons program, and your military advice here is going to be very influential. Vice Admiral Correll, would you agree that it is important for military planning to have an accurate estimate of how much a new nuclear weapon will cost and when it will be delivered?
Yes, Senator.
You agree. We need those basic facts. Look, we need to know how much things cost, but the Air Force provided Congress with a rosy cost estimate for Sentinel, which turned out to cost an extra $60 billion over their estimate. And they did this while declaring, quote, there was no more margin to extend Minuteman III, the program that Sentinel is replacing, past 2036. Well, turns out that wasn't true either. As the Government Accountability Office revealed last month, the military believes we can extend Minuteman III through 2050. So here we have it, this crucial program. The dollar figure was wrong and the time was wrong on it. We need to take an honest look at these programs and not shield them from independent oversight. Vice Admiral Correll, do you commit to ensuring that STRATCOM will not stand in the way of any independent studies or independent recommendations on Sentinel or any other program moving forward?
Senator, I commit to providing my best military advice in a candid and forthright manner to within the department and to this committee.
I appreciate that. It is sorely needed. Think tanks influential with the administration want to add to the Sentinel program by making it mobile. They claim it's going to save money, but history and other analysts indicate it is much more likely it will increase cost and complexity. And what would we get for wasting billions of dollars more? Nuclear weapons being driven through American cities and towns. Vice Admiral Correll, if you were told to consider a mobile Sentinel option again and your military analysis showed that it would add cost or complexity, will you commit to sharing those results as part of your military advice with Congress?
I would commit to that, and that would be by, with, and through the department.
Okay, I appreciate that. It is more critical now than ever before that we have military leaders who are willing to be honest with Congress about our national security. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Senator Slotkin.
Thank you, Senator. Welcome, congratulations on the nomination to you and your family. And you're getting a little preview of how dicey your job is going to be with the president's announcement like 18 hours before you came up here. So I can imagine your poor staff, they're
You have been watching live the Armed Services nomination hearing. This continuing, of course, on our secondary channel here on WCNC Plus. As we approach 11 o'clock, Charlotte Today is getting ready to be up next. Have a great morning. See you tomorrow.